Hello everyone, welcome to the When at Work podcast. You're with the host Julia Leahy. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Noah Sharpe, Hillarie Kay and Marc Adams. Don't forget about Collabpalooza coming up, creating 32 pieces of content every week from just one piece of content. Welcome first of all to our wonderful guests. Hello Marc, Hillarie,
Hey. Hello.
and Noah.
How's it going?
All right, well, we finally got it all sorted out. There was a few technical hiccups, but there always is with this show. And what we're going to do, we're going to play Jeopardy, and then we're going to have a chat to our wonderful guests. So I've got Marc on the left, so he can go first. I'll just read out the categories. USA National Parks, Shakespeare, Sport of Kings, which I think's horse racing. Starts with a J, trios and trivia. Marc, what would you like?
Let's go trivia.
Trivia for how much? 100?
Yeah.
Okay. Smokey the Bear's motto.
Oh, God.
Smokey.
I have no idea.
This is something
Can I phone a
some of
friend?
our American friends might be able to help with. Smokey the Bear, he was like a guy that was teaching people in Yellowstone how to be safe with fires, I think. Let's take a look. Only you can prevent forest fires. All right, so you're still in control until you answer incorrectly or somebody else jumps in. Marc, what would you like?
Starts with a J.
Starts with a J for 100.
Yeah.
Josephine. That sounds like an answer.
So, what am I supposed to do with that?
The
first
first
Mrs.
was
Bonaparte.
Mrs. Bonaparte.
Yeah.
No idea what that's all about. Let's hope the next question is a bit more coherent. What would you like, Marc?
Well, so maybe on that one it would have been who was the first Mrs. Bonaparte, and it would have been Josephine. Is that how it should have gone, or did I miss something?
I think that's
No.
yeah. It sounds like it would make more sense. Hopefully, it's not going to be how the rest of them are going to go.
Okay. Well, I've got 0 for 2. Why don't we go for 1 out of 3? Let's go trios. Finish off that side.
On 100, yes.
Yeah.
The three
That is my.
Musketeers.
Oh, well,
I think we're back-
D'Artagnan's one of them.
Yeah. Are we back to front or what? Let's have a look. So what was it? What was the first one you said? D'Artagnan.
Oh yeah, but you're the trios, right? So
Yeah.
D'Artagnan's best buddies, the Three Musketeers. Yeah,
Okay. So we've.
So
got-
maybe am I supposed to guess the question?
No, look, what we're going to do, we're just going to forget about the whole schmozzle. It's a bit of a write-off, this one. Marc, let's go straight into what you have been doing in the world of B2B.
Oh my word! Where do you want me to start?
Well, tell us about what you did before you're doing now and why you decided to move into it.
Oh, okay. So I've been in the corporate world for nearly 4 decades. So that's kind of spans sales, marketing, leadership, CEO positions, VP positions, all that kind of stuff. Quite some time ago, a decade and a half ago, more, I went out on my own. And I do a lot around mergers and acquisitions in private equity, but I come from a background of having come up through sales and marketing and worked in different places around the world. And so it's kind of a backdrop to what led me into the book I've just published, which I'm not looking to make any money from at all, which is titled Secrets to 10xing Your Business and Cashing Out Tax-Free. And it's because my 10-year-old, a couple of years ago, everybody remember 2020 and 2021 when COVID was kicking around and there were just terrible things happening everywhere? Well, around that time, I got diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer, given 6 months to live. So the first thing that we did in a world where no hospitals were open was find one where they could take the cancer out and then settle down and see, what that might mean if I'd get any, what life expectancy I would then have. But while I was there, I got COVID. And it was at the time when we were coming off the back of the first variant and coming into the Delta variant. Remember that?
Yes, it was scary.
And so wind forward, I'm one of the few people in the world who can very gratefully, humbly, and luckily say that my consultants who operated on me think that having COVID saved my life, because it turns out, long story short, that COVID will do its best to kick your immune system into overdrive, which we think it did with me. And your immune system's actually good at dealing with some forms of cancer. And in my case, they think that kicked my immune system in to deal with what was left of the cancer that I had. And I'm lucky enough to have been cancer-free since. So I'm so unbelievably grateful. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is, in recovery, my then 10-year-old he'd come and check on me 3 times a day because I was in isolation with COVID. I was recovering from major surgery. I'm keen for them to be entrepreneurs. And so I was talking to him about more than 90 companies that we had in our private equity pipeline of businesses that we wanted to buy, but we couldn't because 9 out of 10 companies that come to market to be sold in the small and medium-sized enterprise space, I'm going to call that $3 million to $30 million for this conversation. 12 months later, they're still on the market. So it was my son that said to me, Dad, you should be working with the companies that aren't selling, because the people that own those businesses may have been running them 10, 20 or 30 years. They need the money. They want to look after their families when they retire. And so they weren't quite his words, but that's exactly what he meant. And it started me thinking about, well, how would you work with the 9 out of 10 companies? Because you could do 2 things. And what private equity does is it waits for a couple of years for the prices of those businesses to come down. It's like a house. If it's overpriced, it doesn't sell, and the business is the same. But what we should be doing in that case is starting to look at, well, how would you improve the value of that business so that the owners could cash out and have more money to go into retirement with? And ideally, that does involve finding ways in which they can cash out tax-free or tax minimized. So I spent recovery starting to think about that, and then subsequently the next couple of years really going into the detail of how do you do this. And we've pivoted what we do as a business to work with owners to 10x the value of the business and exit them tax-free, but we can only work with a few customers. So what we do on the back of that, look at you putting my website out, God bless you. So there's so many, we're at the point now where there are hundreds of thousands of baby boomers, they say, retiring across the world every day. So what we're trying to do is get the information to them for free, or for the smallest amount possible. What I mean by that is the book is on Amazon and it's in Audible and it's a book. It's like $6 or $7. But if I could send it to them for free, I would, but Amazon won't let me. So what I've been doing with some people is saying, look, buy the book. I don't make any money on the book because when you're publishing a book, you may or may not know, you make about 20, 30 cents a copy. So whatever we make is going to go into charity anyway. But, when people provide me with a receipt to show me that they bought the book, then I would just, get them the money for the $5 they spent if they want it. But it's about getting people tips, tricks, secrets and hacks, because they can do the things that we can help them with themselves. And the reason it's important is too many people are not going to sell a business. They're going to go into retirement. They won't have enough money to support themselves in that SME space to have a decent retirement. And it's not difficult to do something about it. There are, across that book, there are probably 5 or 6 things that you can do out of 12 chapters where they've got several things in each chapter. Any 2 or 3 of which would probably 3 or 4x the value of your business and make it much more appealing. But what people do as owners...
I just wanted to ask you something. With the 9 out of 10 businesses that go to market and are not immediately selling, what are some of the things that I guess people are doing wrong that is causing them to not sell?
You know what, Julian? It's a brilliant question, and so they are varied. But let me give you a really sad example. So a bit more detail on what my son and I were talking about is there was a particular business that I was trying to buy. It was in the meat and poultry business, and the guy that ran that was 95 years old. And he started building that business with his wife 4 decades ago. 4 decades ago. And he wants 3 million for the business. And there was a time when it was worth that and more, but it isn't worth it now because their profits have dropped to 300,000. So unfortunately, in that scenario, a business like that would be worth 300 to 500,000. But he wanted 3 million for no other reason than he wanted to leave 1 million each to his kids as legacy. And at 95, he doesn't feel that he has a lot of time left. So sometimes it's nothing more than the emotion of a value that they want that represents their life's work. But the figures in the business would mean that anybody buying it wouldn't do it. So that, wouldn't buy it because it doesn't make sense. Because in that scenario, 300K, 3 million to buy a business making 300K, you'd be 10 years before you got your money back, before you made any money. And that's why investors won't do it. But other reasons are, so often when I talk to a business owner that's, say, in their late 50s, 60s, 70s, you'd be surprised. They're very much of the, I will build a website and people will find us. They don't understand all the things that you need to do to drive traffic to a site to get more revenue. And often they're not doing it, or they're not very au fait with social media and they're frightened of it. And they don't empower the people in their business to do it for them, to convey their brand message or even build a brand. You kind of find that youngsters, let's say anybody under 30, it's probably anybody under 35, understand wealth and brand really well. But a lot of the older generation understand profit and loss, and they don't understand brand and wealth. And that's, it's just a cultural thing in the way that people grew up. And let's call it the old world before the internet and digital, to the point that we are now. That is a lot of the reason why these additional bits of low-hanging fruit don't get captured and brought in. There's other reasons too, Julian, but there's two, and they just make you want to cry, because that's what you get for your life's work when you could get so much more. So there's 12 areas in the book, and I didn't include artificial intelligence, that are just meant to open up and introduce people to, these are the things that you could do yourself that would 2, 3, 4x the value in your business. But one of them is knowing how to exit. So when somebody comes to sell a business, Julian, they could be paying 30% in capital gains on the sale price of the business, but there are often ways in which you may be able to, in the United States and in the UK, I think in Australia, but I'm not certain, I think in New Zealand, but I'm not certain, that you may be able to sell the business and pay no tax whatsoever. And that involves getting clever about how you think about the sale process 2-3 years before you do it. Even if it's not tax-free, it's done in a way where the tax bill that you would have would be less than half of the, if it is 30%, a tax bill of 10% is still significantly better than a tax bill of 30%. And people just don't know, because they're really, really good at doing the thing that they do in their lane, and they don't think about any of these other peripheral things that they could be thinking about.
Yeah.
If you come across the book,
I was just going to say, Mark, a lot of people out there, it's like many things where, the person that's out there that wants to sell their business, and they just really don't know what to do. And it's always good to speak to somebody who specializes in this, because they gain so much expertise over time, and they can give you that plan, that framework, and really just get you a process that you can follow to get a better result. What could people expect if they head over to your website, Acquisitions for You?
Yeah, so what they'll get from that is things that you can do to add a zero, so 10x to last year's profit, and then exit tax-free. That's really for, we do work with up to a dozen clients at any one time to do this as a done with you service. So that for those people that are interested, they can do that, but I'm not pushing that. What I want is for people to get hold of a book, to do it themselves. 90%, 95% of people should be able to do it themselves. But to your point, well made, they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. Should people find from the book that they want a bit of help, then they can always reach out. And there's a lot of stuff I put up on a YouTube channel by way of short tips and tricks that they can do. But the majority of people will never get to meet or touch or help or work with. So it's a case of what value can I get to those people so that they can do it themselves. And then for the 1% or 2%, that would rather do it done with you, then they can certainly, reach out and we'd be happy to talk to them. But it doesn't work for everybody. It's not going to be, I can very quickly look at a business and its accounts and its website and have a view as to whether it could work for them. And there are some businesses it won't work for. You do need to be generating 3 million or more in revenue for us to help you. You don't need to be generating that kind of revenue to help yourself. But, we try and make this as cost effective as possible, because if we are working with clients to do this, we do make money. We are a business, but we make it on the upside. So we don't take anything. That we only take, we get paid on the difference in the value between the day they start and the day they finish when they sell the business. But it will be less than 1% of people that need our help. Most people can do it themselves, and the book will show them the path to start. And as they say, you can't be good. You won't be good when you start, but you won't get good if you don't start. So that's what the book is for.
That's interesting, Mark. So the way you work with people is they're going to read through your book, then perhaps reach out to you, and then if they do wish to work with you, you would get their business valued, and then you would put a plan together for them. And if they do successfully sell it for a greater amount, then that's when you would be paid a fee. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. So that's Secrets to 10Xing Your Business, Marc Adams. You can get that on Amazon from wherever you are. Yes, Mark?
Yeah, Secrets to 10Xing Your Business and Cashing Out Tax-Free. That's a huge piece. Why would you, if you're selling a business for 5 million and it's going to cost you $1.5 million in tax, wouldn't you rather be in a position where you could save nearly all of that, $1.5 million in tax, and put that in your bank account rather than the taxman's?
Absolutely. The taxman's already being overpaid.
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Mark. Great information there. And here we've got the wonderful Hilarie. And apologies for the game show. That didn't quite work out. But nevertheless, we are going to soldier on. And tell us a bit about what you do as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I am a burnout recovery coach. And it's interesting. I did not, if you would have asked me, 5 years ago, what would I be doing now? This would not be what I would have said. I worked in corporate America in marketing and owned a full service marketing agency. And I ended up getting very burnt out myself. I was in my early 20s and in the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. And the doctor was like, this is not a heart attack. You're having anxiety. And I'm like, well, okay, what am I supposed to do about this? And he simply just told me I needed to rest. And rest was not in my vocabulary. I was in a horrible relationship. I had two very small kids, one with special needs. I was the breadwinner in my family. Rest was not an option for me. And to make a long story short, I tried to figure out what I could change, how I could live a more sustainable life, but I kept on running into the same patterns. And I realized it's not about the patterns themselves. It's why we do the patterns. Why do we keep on running into these recurring obstacles? And that's when I found the Enneagram, a personality assessment, and people always roll their eyes and they're like, how can a personality assessment help you recover from burnout? But it taught me the why behind my why I was continually running into these obstacles. It dove really deep into my core motivations, my fears. Why was I not stopping? Right. It also clued me in on how I best make decisions and take action and how I respond to things. When I didn't know that. I had always, did what the world told me to do, like make decisions, like what's the logical decision. And I found out through this tool, I don't lead with my head center. I actually lead with my heart center. And in order for me to make the best decisions, I have to first start with my heart. And so it was little things like that. And I had just used it personally for several years and kind of crafting my own burnout recovery journey, and ended up starting to use this tool on and with my clients in my marketing agency, because I found out the majority of my clients were 6-7 figure earners that were entrepreneurs, had businesses that were thriving, but they themselves were not thriving. And so I started kind of just slowly coaching them through the tool, and it ended up their businesses not only grew, but they then were able to actually enjoy that growth themselves. And so in 2020, I closed my marketing agency down and started doing coaching full time for high achievers and entrepreneurs, and also ended up going and doing work in the corporate space and helping. I mean, when we came back from the pandemic, everyone was burnt out. Teams didn't know how to work together anymore. We were all exhausted. So using that same tool and methodology to help those teams avoid burnout and how to work better with one another. And through all of this, I really developed a system that now it's now called the Burnout Recovery System. And it's a 12-week program for individuals and teams. And we walk through things like how to best manage your energy. As you can see right here on the screen, that it's so much more about managing your internal instinctual energy rather than time management, right? We always think about time management like that's the issue. But one of the things that the Enneagram and this tool can show you is everyone has a unique instinctual energy, and how to take inventory of that energy. And then we learn about decision fatigue, how to best make decisions for you. Again, like it's all personalized. The exact steps that I took for my burnout recovery are going to be different than the steps that any of my clients take, right? Because we are all unique individuals. And that's the problem that I really saw, is that we're building this life, in entrepreneurs specifically, this life that we're instructed, like we'll read all the books, like the 4-Hour Work Week or Atomic Habits, and this is how you're supposed to build a business. But those aren't going to work for everybody, because it's going to work for the person who wrote the book, that other people though with similar personalities, right? And we expect that everything is going to work for us, but we're missing the point. We're missing that we're all unique, and we need to hone into our unique patterns. And so my program helps people do that, and in a way that we're not only tackling, business issues and problems, that we're talking like, okay, why did we get into this business problem, right? Why is this part of my business not working? And it generally has to do with something internal with the business owner or the team leader. And so that in summary is what I do. And
Hilarie, I'll jump in with an insightful question, but I do like it when guests do all the talking. What is the type of person that is most likely to experience burnout? Because would you say that in your experience, there's certain sort of personality types are more prone to it than others?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. And so there's a reason why I market to high achievers. And generally it's the more assertive types. And in the Enneagram world, that's generally types 3s, 7s, and 8s. Those are the 3 types that I see most come through my program, and most who struggle. It's the types that...
Are you about to explain what that means? Okay, excellent.
Yep, absolutely. And so what I mean by assertive types is they have more of an at personality, meaning they are a little bit more aggressive in their behaviors. There's no stopping. And so that all relates back to their core fear and what motivates them. So for the type 3, the core fear is failure, and they're motivated by people respecting them, by success, achievement. So you can see why that personality type would then be prone to burnout. And you look at the 7, their core fear is feeling trapped. And so they're motivated by getting to experience all of the things, right? They don't want to be tied down. And so they tend to get themselves into a lot of projects, and they don't know how to say no, because if they feel like they say no, that means they're getting trapped into a situation. And so you can then see why they would tend to get into a burnout cycle. And then the 8s, the type 8s, who are the last of that assertive, those assertive types, they fear being controlled or losing independence. So they're motivated by seeking independence and seeking control. And they do that by going and going and going. So again, it's this cycle of not stopping, right? And not listening to your fears and making decisions based on not a fear, but by like what is going to be sustainable for you. And so we don't try to change that personality, because that would be counterproductive, right? What we do is, there's nothing wrong with anybody. It's about how to use your unique operating system in a way that's going to be sustainable for you and not get you into this repeated burnout cycle.
Absolutely. And what about sort of people pleasers and perfectionists? They are ones that strike me as prone to this type of thing.
Yep, absolutely. I see a lot of, so the people pleaser, that is definitely that type 3 that I was talking about, because they want everybody to like them, right? They want everybody to respect them. And there's also another type that's the type 1 that I see a lot of as well. And they are known for being perfectionists. Like everything can always just be a little better. And their core fear is not being good enough. And so they're going to do so by having, making sure their work is excellent. But that can get tiresome, because it's never good enough for them, right? Because they don't think it's going to be good enough for other people. It's never good enough for them. And so teaching them about that. And there's other people pleasing types, but I don't find those as much, in my work, because they don't tend to be the entrepreneurial types or the high achievers, like that are in the C. There's definitely a specific type of individual who is able to push through that people pleasing, right? To get to the top. And that's where we go back to those motivations and fears.
So it's a real aspirational, high achieving person that you speak to. And what happens at your 12-week workshop?
Yeah, so the 12-week program, we start at the very beginning, right? We do a lot of talking about patterns from the very beginning. We get you typed, and then we work through your energy inventory, like you just popped up on the screen, and then we work through what's called your Enneagram toolbox. So we work with finding equilibrium, and notice I said equilibrium and not balance, because I really don't believe there's such thing as balance. It's just about this flow in life, because sometimes you're going to have to put more energy in work versus your personal life, and vice versa. So the scales are never going to be even. It's finding how you can find that equilibrium within yourself. So we talk about that. We go through your Enneagram toolbox, how to use all of the facets of your personality to help you overcome recurring obstacles. We talk about that decision-making process that I mentioned earlier, how you best make decisions and take action. And are you leading with the right center, right? If you're heart centered, are you leading with the heart centered? If you're head centered, are you leading with the head center? And to make sure you're not overusing or underusing head, heart, or body. Also, we go through your unique instinctual energies, how you approach and cope with the world. And are you overusing your coping mechanisms? Are you underusing your coping mechanisms? And again, finding equilibrium in that. And so there's 3 major sets of tools, like I just mentioned, and we work together on, number 1, understanding those tools, understanding how they work within you. And then the last 3 weeks of the program are really using those tools real time with real situations to try to build those sustainable strategies so you don't end up in a burnout cycle again. So we learn about what your unique burnout cycle is, like what burnout looks like for one person. That's not what burnout looks like for the other person. It could actually, one person's burnout could look like another person's like best life. And so really understanding that. So it's really about reconnecting with yourself. And that's what we do over the 12 weeks to develop the strategies that are going to work for you to live a healthy and sustainable life.
And how is the 12 weeks administered? Is it all done online?
Yeah. Yep. So it's all through Zoom calls. So I have a 12-week one-on-one program, which is much more individualized support, and it's weekly calls. And then you also have access to me via Marco Polo, because I completely understand that our obstacles don't only happen when we have scheduled calls, right? I want my clients to be able to pick up a video chat and be like, hey, this is happening right now. This is what I'm feeling. How can you, how can we work through that with my toolbox? And so you have 24/7 access to me throughout the 12 weeks. And we have weekly calls, weekly 60-minute calls for the one-on-one program. And then the group coaching, very similar, have 12, weekly calls, but it's in a group setting. And we go through it that way.
It's very interesting, the personality stuff. On a side note, did you know that L. Ron Hubbard plagiarized a lot of this for his ridiculous book, and changed it all around to being having aliens inside you and all this stuff? And
yes, it was ridiculous.
He calls it Enneagrams. Yeah, did the people say that to you? Do they?
Yeah, no, I've heard that. They're like, is this? I'm like, absolutely not. That was a preposterous use of some of this ancient wisdom that we have available to us. But oh my word, that was ridiculous.
Well, it is very interesting stuff, and it can help a lot of people in how they go about their lives. So if you want to check that out, when does the next one kick off, Hilarie?
Yeah, so my one-on-one, you can go to my website at any time, and you can HilaryKay.com and schedule a call with me. You can't just sign up. You have to go through a call with me to see if it's a right fit for you. And so one-on-ones are open at any time. But the next group coaching kicks off March 6th. And again, you can go to my website, schedule a call, see if that's the right fit for you. But downloading that free chapter of the Burnout Recovery System book that's coming out in March is a great step, because that's going to give you a good idea about what to expect. And then you're in my rotation of content and all of that good stuff.
Wonderful. So yes, please go and check out what Hilarie's doing. And I've got all the links in the description. And apologies for getting your name wrong. Hilarie.
No worries.
Wonderful.
No worries.
All right, let's see if Noah's still here. Oh, hi, Noah. How are you?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
All right, so you've been grinding in the gym and turning it into a business, and you had a bit of a wild time during COVID. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, man. I picked up and moved to Southern California at the end of 2019, because that was, great idea. I went all in. I had like a 6-month lease during 2019, and I was really going all in on health and fitness. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to renew my lease. I'm just going to, go train full time. And I wanted to do it in a really big environment and a really big, demographic. So I quit my job and moved to LA at the end of 2019 and started going all in with training and all in, at a corporate gym here in Southern California. And really started to get traction and really started to build up. And then the beauties of COVID happened 5 months into it. So that shut, everything, the whole world to a standstill. So I was pretty much just living off savings and doing like minimally online training until the end of 2020, when I met, a group of people who were getting ready to open a facility in downtown Long Beach. So that was October. We opened January 1st, 2021. And just started going all in on that. It was my first time being an independent contractor, first time working fully for myself. So I went, all in with that, with zero money and zero clients. But it's been a beauty. So we just celebrated our 3rd anniversary, and now I have a team of trainers under me. I'm also, training one-on-one remotely. So I have clients now, all over the world who I work with, coaching mindset, nutrition, exercise, as well as running a team in person and clientele in person in Southern California.
So, what percentage of your work is at the gym versus the online stuff?
I'm working with my online training and my clients through remotely throughout the week. They have constant communication with me. So that is just, in my day-to-day. But, I'm also still, working with a limited amount of clients in person. But my day-to-day right now consists of maybe, let's say, six clients a day. Then working with my team and making sure that everything's running smoothly there. My team of trainers here and overseeing that. And then I would say maybe 80% of my time is going to be spent in my facility, but also my remote clients always have access to me. We're always working. We're always kind of, moving the needle, trying to tweak it. So we're always, I think of my clients as a team. I'm trying to work with my entire team, whether that's my trainers under me and their clients. When we have events, we get together as a unit. It's really, for me, it's about culture building. So I try to get everyone as involved as possible. I have people who live in Southern California and are not far from me, but still, even though they're remote, we have team events. I'm trying to get everyone involved and really just building a culture.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in talking to gym owners because it's a very competitive industry. What do you think allowed you, firstly, to succeed in building a team of trainers under you? What worked for you in that regard?
I would say for me, it's really about, after I read the book, Good to Great, it really kind of changed my perspective on the speed that I wanted to build, because it's easy to want to build fast and just start to add trainers under you. And there's not a lack of trainers in Southern California. There's not a lack of trainers or online trainers or people who are getting in this industry. It's, pretty trendy right now. So for me, it was just about finding people that I feel like care, because I feel like you can teach a lot of things, but one thing you cannot teach is how to care, and people who are really willing to buy into a service, and making sure that we don't just see dollar signs, and we don't really just see numbers on the scale, but seeing a human as entirely as it is, and really working from the inside out, and realizing that we're trying to really build mindsets and really change people's perspective on themselves, self-control, teach mental discipline. And I think that if you have trainers who really are just trying to clock in and clock out, or someone who just, sees it as a workout program, there's only so much they can really do for a human being. And so just, the team I have, every time we meet, every time we talk, we're really just figuring out how can we better serve, how can we really move the needle for people, how can we really get people to buy into themselves, because especially, in Western culture, we have a really, really soft society that has taught people that, everything's instant gratification and everything is really about just how you feel. And as much as mental health is important, we really work with our clients on how can you fully take control and how can you really be, in the driver's seat of your own life. And that applies to your mind, body, spirit, everything. So, that's my team. We do mandatory reading, even though we're trainers. We're always trying to grow here because we cannot lead from the back. We have to lead from the front. It's one of our core values. So building a team that really just encompasses all of that.
It's interesting, and with the gym game, sometimes people say things like, how can you compete against 24-hour fitness or whatever? But it's a totally different model, isn't it, when you're building a close-knit team of clients and actually caring about them, and that's really what people want. The other thing I was going to ask you was, do you predict your online business to be bigger than your physical business, or other way around?
I think with the remote, it can be bigger only because I can service between my pre-built programs and my one-on-one. I can work with more people at a time than you can. There's only, for me in person, so much I can do in an hour. Yep. Whereas I can constantly ethically scale, and I can't go do an hour in India and come back here and do an hour here, as opposed to the way that I'm running my remote program, I'm servicing people, all over, at the same time while I'm in here doing an hour, maybe 1, 2, max 4 people at a time. So that's the only reason I would say yes. However, I prioritize both because I feel like, especially after COVID, people really crave this. They crave the one-on-one. They crave being able to look someone in the eye and talk to them about their day and like be able to see face-to-face someone cares, which my remote does. We're still doing weekly calls, but I think especially after COVID, even though I have this, expensive, great bill online, platform, people really have been craving that in-person experience, and it's something I love. I love working with people, and I think that human-to-human connection is something that you can't, fully get rid of. It's really why I, instead of maybe being able to, scale more with AI or things like that, I really try to double down on human beings. I really double down on people. Whether it's the meal prep company I'm working with, I'm working with local teams. It's whether it's my, CPA, I'm trying to really double down on working with someone that, I buy into their culture and their core values. So that's one of the ways that I feel like I'm still scaling, but I'm trying to do it in an ethical manner. And my remote program really allows me to work with a wide range. And I love that I get to experience, different things. And even when I'm, flying out to go check in, I certain, clients that I have to go, they'll have me fly to go see them. It allows me still to grow while keeping that human contact.
Awesome. And I'll put your links in the description. If you want to check out what Noah's doing online, which is very interesting, that's Noah Sharpe with an E, noahsharpefitness.com. And thank you very much, Noah, for sharing some of your knowledge. Awesome. And thanks, everyone else. I'm going to wrap things up. Have a great day. Bye.